Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Divine Union podcast. And if it's your first time joining us today, welcome. We have a really amazing episode where we're going to be talking all about what triggers us and partner is often a reflection on self. Comes back to self, our unhealed, unexpressed, uh, unfully integrated parts of self. Now, if you're watching the video version, you will obviously notice the two things are very different. One, I've got myself a standing desk, so I'm standing tonight. And two, yes, we're recording this at night. I've got my red light in the background. So you got a little red light Nicola happening tonight. I like to put my red light on anytime after 7, and we're recording this baby late. So here we go. So if you've ever heard anyone say that saying, what triggers you in someone else is something that's within self. So I want to speak to that. And I also want to name that this comment has nuance. So, by the way, I'm not saying, and we'll talk about this, that what triggers you and your partner or other people, but we'll stay with partner for this episode, what triggers you and your partner is always something inner work that you have to do. It doesn't mean that you can't communicate, express a different way that they could be showing up, maybe more appropriately, respectfully, thoughtfully. Like this is all still valid. The communication work of asking for what we want and need is definitely valid in relationship. And it's also knowing that what triggers us and the other often comes back to self. Now, how can this actually play out and come back to self? I give you an example and why I say it's like an unhealed or unexpressed part of self. So, Nicola over here, little old Nicola, I grew up with anxious attachment. So I was more in that camp of like clinging for connection, always wanting the connection, not really expressed in my sense of individuality and separateness and need for freedom and independence, which is a part of me that's I've cultivated later in life. And so I would always gravitate towards partners that were kind of like that wild horse that couldn't be tamed, total free bird who marched to the beat of their own drum, who did what they wanted, who didn't care what people think. Now, why did I love that so much? Because that was a part of me. I had that within me, but it wasn't fully expressed and fully realized. And so by being partnered with someone who embodied those traits, it almost brought the sense of wholeness to me. Now, I love that side of them, but I would get deeply triggered when I want to spend time and maybe they want to do their own thing, or they'd have other plans, or they'd be cultivating other relationships uh, outside of me, or that part of them that wanted to connect, be around many people and not just spend one-on-one time always with me. Now it triggered me, but the truth is, I wasn't allowing myself to feel in relationship my own desire for freedom, my own desire to connect with many types of people, even if I'm in relationship, and then have great conversations and be enamored by people and experience depth of intimacy with other people. And so I'd resent my partners for doing that because I didn't allow myself to do that. Now it can also go where we don't have to put a judgment on a negative behavior or a positive behavior. We don't want to put a judgment, but this trigger can also be something unexpressed or something that maybe you restrain in you. So, for example, I have someone in my life who triggers me because I feel that they always just say whatever is on their mind without concern or restraint, concern for how it impacts the other, how it impacts me without as much restraint. Yeah. Someone I know not so well, but distant in my life, yeah, that comes in from time to time. And so it triggers me. It triggers me because I don't allow myself to show up that way. Right now, we don't have to put a judgment on it, right? Like that it's right or wrong. But yeah, because I practice restraint. So I don't always say, I'm conscious of the words I say for the most part. I'm not perfect. No one is. Don't hold me to it. But I try hard to be conscious and prudent with my words and not say damaging words I can't take back. But it still triggers me because I'm like, who is this person going there and throwing whatever energy comes their way? And they're just saying all these things and they don't care and they're not mindful. And here I am practicing restraint and how I show up. And that's why it still comes back to self, though, because it's also reminding me, okay, where does that, what am I annoyed about? Yeah, I'm annoyed, God. Like, let it to God, let it to source. I'm annoyed, God, that I'm practicing restraint. And this person is just willy nilly offending me, saying disrespectful things. And that's annoying. And you can be annoyed, but it's looking at that. But the more powerful one, the one that's actually going to get us somewhere in this episode that I will come back to is the first one. So it's noticing these parts of partner that come back to self. So for example, I'll give another one. Where am I expecting partner to, let's say, I want partner to be vulnerable. I want partner to tell me what's on their mind. I have all these complaints of how I'm not feeling their heart. I'm not feeling their vulnerability. They're not, saying sweet things to me or thoughtful things to me. And then we have to look at self. Am I showing up that way? Am I expecting from them what I'm not giving? And where does it mirror that? Of ways I can show up with more vulnerability? Where does it mirror where I am and not as strong in my core and I'm afraid of judgment or rejection or how I'll be received, that I don't express when things hurt me, that I don't lead the direction of the intimacy, that I don't initiate intimacy, that I don't initiate sex because I'm too afraid of a turn down, whatever it might be. And it's looking at that and saying, thank you for this gift for showing me where I need to strengthen self. Or if you're triggered by your partner's expression, maybe it's the way that they speak to you, the way that they say what's on their mind, the way that they're naming boundaries of theirs. Then it's noticing, where am I not fully expressing that's triggering me? Where am I not naming when things don't feel good? Where am I not taking time for myself? Where am I allowing myself to get wrapped up in their energy and I'm not expressing when I need space? And it doesn't mean you can't communicate, hey, partner, I don't appreciate the way that you're communicating to me. I don't appreciate the tone. Oh, it feels hurtful when I'm trying to spend time and you just tell me that you want to do your own thing and you don't really give me any insight into when we can, into why, or when we can reconnect, or what's happening in your inner experience, or you just close during conflict and walk away. You can still communicate about these things and ask for clarification with your voice and your words, and express with love. And it's also noticing where that comes back to self. Or, I give another. Let's say you're frustrated because you feel your partner's disengaged and they're not fully present with you. Okay? It's triggering. Now, where does it come back to self in this one? Where can it come back to self as a growing, an expansion opportunity instead of a you're doing this and I'm annoyed about this? It comes back to self as, maybe I got to work on asking more questions. to bring their attention back, to get them more engaged. Maybe it's the topics they're not interested in. Like this is painful, right? Because then we got to look at like, ooh, maybe I'm boring them. Maybe it's the my approach. Maybe they feel like I'm talking at a wall. Maybe I'm not engaging them. Maybe I could demonstrate more interest in their opinions on the matter, their thoughts, right? It's having this lens of everything that happens in life is an opportunity for us to grow and expand and strengthen ourselves and be better partners, lovers, friends, family, mentors, mentees, human beings. And this is it. And then then we start to see the mirrors in everyone. We start to see that at the end of the day, Nicola's getting up on the podium because she's about to preach. Preach, baby, preach. We're all one. We're all one. And when we remember that and we truly remember that, not just like get up on that podium and be like, we're all one collective, we're all human beings, yet like this person's doing this and this person triggers me and I'm going to judge this person and I'm better than this person because X, Y, and Z. And no, that's not it. That's not the embodiment of the principle. We need to embody the principle by really understanding that everything is an opportunity for us to come back to self, grow self, strengthen self. Maybe it's your opportunity is to own a boundary. Maybe it's to express. Maybe it's to walk away from that relationship. Maybe it's to change how you're communicating in that relationship. Maybe it's many things, playing with your energy, bringing more play. There's so many angles when it comes to expression and what you can do because your energy impacts the other's energy and vice versa. It impacts the relationship energy. And so there's so many ways that you can play around to navigate conflict and rift. But it's always using that as an opportunity to grow. Because when we ain't growing, baby, what happens? We're stagnant. That's not fun. That is a swamp energy, as David Guillaume, one of my spiritual mentors. You become a swamp. We don't want to be a swamp. We want to be a river. We want that clean water to flow, baby. We don't want bugs and algae to grow and just be stagnant. Hmm? So that feels complete. Yeah, I want to leave it on this note. This feels like a great note to leave it on. And so, point being is noticing when we come up against these triggers with the partners in our life, the people in our life, that we always use that as an opportunity to reflect and dig into self and notice where am I either not fully expressed in this area? Where am I not allowing myself to feel this quality? Where am I frustrated because I don't do that? And it annoys me that this person's doing that when I'm not. I'm living to a different moral standard or code. Where's an opportunity for me to come back to self and strengthen self, show up differently, try a new approach, pivot, be more flexible in life, flow, surrender. And then, of course, this is why I love me the communication work because you can't actually integrate anything without the communication work. Then it's communicating about your experience, communicating about your desires and your wants and your needs from that place, but always doing it after you've taken personal accountability and have done that inner work with self to, yeah, it's really just taking ownership and done some of that inner work to continue to strengthen self. And it's a this and, not a this or, not a this but. Thank you, beautiful people, for tuning in to this week's episode of Divine Union with your hostess, moi, Nicola Navon. It's been such an absolute pleasure. I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, may all your unions be divine.